Dividend investing, 3 ways to win even when prices fall. Now, if you watch this video all the way to the end, you will understand dividend investing better than most advisors do. You'll also learn how dividends create income that you can plan on. And finally, you learn the 3 ways to win with dividends, even when prices are declining. Now, the theme of this video is really how dividends equal income that you can plan. And before I get too deep into the weeds, into the details, I should define what is a dividend. A dividend is money a company pays you simply for owning a piece of it. Now, one way you can think about it is, imagine that you own a lemonade stand with a bunch of your friends, and you're very successful. You sell all kinds of lemonade. Well, you got to pay for the lemons, you got to pay for the cups, you got to pay for the sugar, etc., etc. And of course, the money that's left over is the profit. And when you take that profit and share it among the partners, the owners, or the friends, that money that's shared is a dividend. Put another way, when it comes to companies and on the stock market, we have a company that has shares that you can buy. That company makes a profit. Then that company shares the profit. And that money that gets shared is a dividend. Another way to put it is, if you own 3 shares in a company and that company declares that they're going to pay $1 per share in dividends, you will receive $3 of dividends simply by owning those 3 shares. Very easy and simple. Now, who pays dividends and why? It's really important to point out that not every company pays dividends. In fact, high growth companies, young companies that are still growing very quickly, they tend to take their profits and their cash and reinvest that money for further growth. And that's different than what mature companies do. Mature companies who have been around for quite some time and are profitable and create a bunch of cash, those are the companies that tend to pay dividends. And that's really it. Now let's talk about dividends versus stock price. The key point here is that a company that pays dividends, they're going to announce the dividend amount and when they're going to pay that amount in advance. The stock price can go up, the stock price can go down. The dividend amount and the dividend payment date does not change regardless of what the stock price does, period. Now, the process goes something like this. You have the announcement date. This is when they tell us how much and when. We have the record date. And we have the ex-dividend date and the payment date. Now, the really important date to pay attention to is this ex-dividend date. Reason being, if you own the stock prior to the ex-dividend date, then you will receive that dividend. Now, why does this matter? What this does is it allows you to plan for this dividend income because the company tells you in advance how much they're going to pay and when they're going to pay it. Now, stock price, no one is ever going to tell you what the stock price is going to be in 3 months. They're never going to say that, because if they are, they're lying. And what this does is it changes your strategy from a hope and pray that the stock price is going to go up, to a plan and verify. A plan and verify strategy is going to give you confidence about the income that you're going to receive, and most likely it's going to help you sleep at night. In retirement, predictability matters. In fact, I would argue that in investing, predictability matters. And dividends, they give you a line of sight into future income. Stock prices, they wiggle up and down. Your plan, it shouldn't wiggle. So let's dive into the 3 ways to win with dividend investing. Let's start with number 1. Number 1 is very simple. Everyone will understand it, and that is that the stock price goes up. And this happens when the market recognizes the health of a business and the fact that that business is profitable and growing and all this sort of thing, and so everyone goes in to buy it and the stock price goes up. Now, the problem with relying on stock price going up is that no one knows when that's going to happen. And conversely, no one knows when the stock price is going to decline. Luckily, we don't have to predict when the stock price is going to go up or down, because we have 2 other ways to win. And let's get into number 2. Number 2 is that the dividend payment increases. And just to give you an example, let's say there's a stock that's paying $1 a share, and they decide, based on their business being healthy and so forth, that they want to pay their shareholders $1.25 a share. Fantastic, because if you happen to own that stock, you just got a 25% raise. Now, the third way to win with dividend investing is if the price declines. And I'm putting 2 asterisks here because in order for this to work, one has to be involved in what's called a DRIP program. DRIP means Dividend Reinvestment Program. And what that means is you're taking all of the income, all the dividend income that you receive, and just simply buying more shares of the same company. And that way you're just building more and more shares into your portfolio. Now, I understand that maybe this feels a little backwards, and so I'm going to walk through the math here in just a moment. Okay, so let's walk through a dividend reinvestment program using really simple math and using a fictional company to do this example. Now, let's call the company Acme. This is, again, totally fictional company. And let's say that the company is trading at $10 a share on the stock market, and they're paying out $1 a share in annual dividends. We take $1,000, and that'll be 100 shares. So year 1, that 100 shares equals $100 in dividends. And because we're in a DRIP program, they're going to buy 10 shares. And that's going to equal 110 shares. Year 2, that 110 shares is going to create $110 in dividends. Now here's the deal though. Year 2, the stock market goes through like a 2008 crash. Everybody's panicking, and all the prices in the market go down. Nothing is wrong with Acme. Acme's business is totally fine. It's just market pressure pushing the price down. And let's say the price goes down to $5, just keeping the math easy. So remember, we have the DRIP program. What does that mean? That means that this $110 is going to buy a bunch of shares at $5 a share. So that's 22 shares. And that's going to equal 132 shares. And then so year 3, that 132 shares is going to create $132 in dividends. And let's say that the market recovered, the panic has subsided, and Acme has come back up to $10 a share. We got the DRIP program. So that's going to buy only 13 shares now. And that's going to be 145 shares after that purchase. Now, what's the result? This 145 shares is going to be $145 in dividend income. And since we have 145 shares at $10 a share, what is the total account value? Total account value is $1,450. So what has happened? We've started with 100 shares producing $100 in dividends. Price goes down and recovers. We now have 145 shares producing $145 in dividends. We also started with $1,000 account value that is now $1,450. And this all happened without adding any additional money. Now, the key point here with dividend reinvestment programs is that when prices dip, it allows you to buy more shares, which allows you increased income. What this is what they call a dividend snowball. All right, now you've seen the example. I do want to provide some caveats. First and foremost is you need to do your homework before you invest in a company that's paying dividends. You need to make sure that the business is healthy and make sure that they're able to pay those dividends consistently. It's also important to point out that dividends, they're not guaranteed. They can be cut. And because of this, it's really important to diversify. Don't rely on just one dividend payer. In our model portfolio, we use 30 companies that all pay dividends. And finally, that DRIP program, it's optional. You can take all of that income from dividends and reinvest. You can take a portion of that dividend income and reinvest, or you don't have to reinvest at all. It really depends on your income needs at that time. Okay, so let's tie this all together. A dividend is money that you receive simply by owning part of a company. Dividends are announced in advance so that you can plan on the income rather than trying to guess what's going to happen with the stock price. And finally, you can win 3 ways. First is stock price increase. Second is dividend payout increase. Third is using a dividend reinvestment program to take advantage of dips in the price to buy more shares to increase future dividend income. And now you know why I like to call dividend investing, 3D chess, versus the buy low and sell high strategy is checkers. With checkers investing, you're just hoping and praying that you'll be able to time the market for when the price goes from low to high and you sell at the right point. Whereas with 3D chess, you're building an income machine that just keeps going and going and going. Now, if you'd like help building a dividend-first income retirement plan, in the description below, there is a link for you to book a 15-minute fit call, and we can have a short discussion, see if we're a good fit to work together, and then possibly map out our next steps. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Share this video if you know somebody who is looking for a way to produce income reliably during retirement, and they're tired of playing that game of hoping and praying that stock prices increase in their portfolio. Now, my disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only. It is not investment advice. Go speak with a licensed professional before making any investment decisions. Now, thanks for watching, and go build a snowball.